Assalamu alaikum everyone, inshallah you're all doing well. The other day I did a video regarding the Pauline Hanson, the Australian senator, wearing a burqa in Australian Parliament. And usually when you do videos like these you don't pay attention to the comments because honestly they can get pretty vile and really I have no time and energy for that stuff. However, I did look at the comments and some of them were interesting, so I thought it might be beneficial to address some of them here. So let's do that. Okay, the first one says, which was sent 5 years ago, a talking trash bag. Very original. One woman said, I'll never trust a Muslim. I don't care what you say, lady. It's not wanted or welcome in Australia. I stand with Pauline 100%. Islam is not wanted in the West. Evil. Now, see the thing about comments like this, right? What I don't get, I just feel like it's a respect to yourself. If you're going to call something or have an opinion on something, that you do it in truth, you do it informed. And I find that with a lot of these comments, that's not in fact the case. They think they know Islam so much that they can label it evil. But at the same time, when you ask them, what knowledge have you sought? Who have you spoke to that has actual knowledge? Not just someone that has, biased or, their opinions based on hearsay. Like, what actual research have you done? If you're basing it off the entertainment industry, if you're basing it off mass media, there's a serious problem there. Just it's something that you owe to yourself to form your opinions with actual knowledge. If they know even a smidge of what Islam truly is, the last thing they're going to call it is evil. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Okay, let's look at the next one. So somebody wrote, as a female, does she not have the right to wear a burqa if she chooses? I think that's a fantastic question, and absolutely. The thing is though, we're all aware she's actually using the garment to make a statement, and that statement is there's no place for other ways of life, other belief systems. She's trying to degrade the religion of Islam, degrade the women that follow Islam, as well as the garment that some may wear. When you have someone who has such a position, responsibility comes with that. When you're putting on what is feared by so many, what is misjudged by so many, and what can appear to someone who's no used to that sort of thing really, really scary. You tell people that this country is being took care by things like this, and you're pushing out all this propaganda and all this negativity. Don't realise the impact it has on the everyday Muslim. And it's no fair that in the same narrative, people can say these Muslims don't integrate, whilst failing to recognise that, especially Muslim women, we go outside, we have to have eyes in the back of our head. We have to watch what we're doing. Do you know how many people have been assaulted, have had headscarves, their coverings ripped off? I was assaulted whilst 6 months pregnant. And people can say that people like me don't integrate, but I'm a teacher. I've worked for many years in London. I'm back home now. I worked many years in London, taught many people. And again, it comes back to the matter of truth. But if people want to have an honest conversation about society, about religion, about Muslims, their place and everything else, let's do it. But let's do it in truth. Let's not pretend that Islam is something that it isn't. Some of what the politicians are saying today about Islam is so far from the truth that it's really hard for Muslims not to feel ostracised sometimes. Do you know what? Despite that, Muslim community on the ground are still helping their local communities, are still here trying to play a positive role in society. My local masjid every day is feeding the poor. They even have days where they get a bunch of their teenage students outside cleaning the local area. And again, that was a point I tried to make in the other video. The Muslims have great relations with their local communities generally. If people were to take off their right-winged, rose-tinted glasses, they would actually see that the Muslims are just human beings, just trying to be the best that they can be in life. They're just trying to play a part. But anyway, let's continue. Somebody wrote, keep your Scottish ideas in Scotland. No. Somebody wrote, how is it that reverts want to live in Western countries? How is it that Muslims, Islamists want to live in the West? That's right, people, to take over, like they have been trying for over 1400 years. Really? Reverts are in the West because they're generally from the West. Yes, there are people coming from other countries into Western countries. Why? Because the Western governments have invaded their countries, stole their resources, and then evacuated and left many of these countries in turmoil. How do you think that the West doesn't have a responsibility towards these people? Honestly, you need to have zero shame and a lack of serious self-awareness when you talk like this. Honestly, I don't know how more people aren't embarrassed by some of the words and opinions that come out of their mouths. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Somebody wrote, a talking Scottish letterbox. Is there anything that the Scots can't do? Not much, my friend, not much. Somebody wrote, read the Quran, it's full of hate. Where? Where is it full of hate? What about this verse where Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala says? What about this verse where Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala says? And what about this verse where Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala says? This is a good lesson for those who are watching the video and don't really know anything about Islam, are hearing all this jargon and hate towards the Muslims and towards Islam, and they are confused, they're curious, they're worried. Read the book for yourself. Read the book for yourself, or go to the Muslims, go to the masjids. If communication and dialogue is presented in a respectful way, many Muslims, if not all of them, will be ready to have those conversations. Despite the lies that some people put out there, Islam is very transparent. Go to a practicing Muslim, go to a masjid, do some genuine research, read the Quran, not under the context of interpretation of right-winged non-Muslims, but actually take from Islamic sources. We are the people educated in our religion. It's so easy to do. It's not going to affect us if you decide not to take on that behalf, if you don't want to be Muslim, if you even disagree. It's not for us. At least do justice to yourself by making an informed opinion. Take it for the actual preserved, authentic sources. And then the rest is your business. And I'll finish with this comment because I think it's really important. Somebody wrote, who are you really? And that's the point she's asking. It is about security. This comment has been said for years and is one of the most frustrating, especially since 2020. Why? Because around that time, it became mandatory for all people in pretty much the majority of the world to wear face masks. People's faces were covered and no one spoke about security in that instance, which really blows this whole security question right out the water. It's a farce, a red herring, if you will. But to add to that, one of the biggest misconceptions in regards to women who cover their face is that we would not be willing to show our face in any security situation, and that's just a right out lie. Any Muslim woman is ready to prove her identity to the appropriate official when necessary. But if you think that that means Tom, Rick and Harry by default get access, then you're sadly, so sadly mistaken. That's not how it works. I have rights. I have the right to practice my religion. And people don't have the right to say, take your clothes off, but just because they can't handle seeing other people practice a different way of life. This is the world. It's full of different people, different races, different belief systems. I would love for more people to understand Islam for what it truly is, rather than all this propaganda, all these lies, misinformation and stereotypes that people put out there, which is far from hate, far from evil. In fact, is really special and gives a person everything they need to lead a happy and content life, inshallah. Anyway, assalamu alaikum.